Ladies and gentlemen, an applause for everybody here. Good having you with us. Good having you with us. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's start. Right, you were waiting for that. So, what are we going to talk about? The role and the value, actually, of the investments that we do in data centers, in IXs, peering, cables, what have you, the works. So, we'll have a session of around 90 minutes because that sounds better than 1.5 hours, right? Don't you think? 90 minutes sounds more sympathetic. So that's why I use the 90 minutes. We'll have two presentations, one from Brendan, one from Camille. So, but before we go in there, I will give, starting of course with the ladies on my left, a quick introduction of them so you know who we are talking to. But I'll tell you already, and it's no surprise, all senior experts here in this panel, except me, of course. But so I'll give them a quick word to introduce themselves so you know who you're listening to and the knowledge they are sharing. So, Huda, if I may start with you, please.
Thank you so much, Eric. It's always lovely to be part of your panels. And I would like to take this opportunity to welcome everybody here in Oman. Consider this as your second home. I hope that you already had having very good time here in Oman, and we wish seeing you all today at the gala dinner, which is sponsored by Omantel. See, right? I'm taking your role now. So, Huda Al-Ghabshi, I'm head of data and connectivity. I used to be senior manager capacity and submarine in Omantel. And I believe everybody saw the presentation today from Suhail, our CEO, and who already explained the journey from Omantel all the way to Zain Omantel. So thank you for having me here. And I pass it to Noha.
I can use this one. مساء الخير كلكم جميعا. It's a pleasure, Eric, to be with you on the panel. It feels like coming home in Oman. This is my fourth time now here, and I'm always happy to be in Oman. My name is Noha Kok Khalifa. I am the region director for MENA, AM6, Amsterdam Internet Exchange, and my focus is here to grow the ecosystem in the region.
Okay. Right.
Thank you for having me. Ahmed Musa, head of carrier and wholesale with Awasser.
Okay, thank you. Brendan. Sorry, there's your mic.
No? Yes, I'm here. Good afternoon, everybody. Pleasure to be here. It seems like yesterday I was sitting on a panel in Muscat in another hotel down the road. I must say, having been on holiday here 10 years ago, coming down through the sort of mountain area, I felt like I was coming to somewhere that I knew very well, and it was a fantastic holiday, and the hospitality was second to none. So thanks to all the hosts, the people of Oman, and in terms of hosting this, obviously GCCM and the wider audience in terms of hosting this fantastic event. I'm Brendan Press. I'm CCO for GBI. We're based out of Doha in Qatar. We have an extensive network throughout the region, to the region from Asia and from the region to Europe. And I'm very pleased to be on this panel this afternoon. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Kamel?
Hello, yes, Kamel Tawil, Managing Director, Equinix Middle East, North Africa. Yeah, I think you will hear a lot of me, so.
Will we hear enough from you? No, thank you. So I'm very honored having you all here at my panel. And for the last person, please, I will go all the way to Africa. So Mustafa, please take your minute.
Hello, Eric. It is my pleasure to be with you. My pleasure to be with you another time. This time online. I'm Mustafa Burai. I'm Senior Manager of Wholesale and Carrier Relation in Sudatel Telecom Group. I'm responsible for data connectivity, submarine, the serial.
Okay, thank you so much. The connection was a bit bumpy, but I think we got the message. And yes, please, next time be live with us here. But good having you at least virtual. So happy to have you and like all the panelists here. So, guys, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You want to make a request, please? It is because we can work on our 10. No, it's because we can work on our 10, come home and say, listen, Oman treated her really well.
But also,
This is the Oman
if you
color.
do need sunglasses, stop by the Oman IX booth. We have something for you.
There you go. You see, you're not partnering, right? Aren't you? Because anyway, guys. So, I mean, the role and the value of the data centers, the pairing, the new cables investment strategy, a mouthful, but please stay with us and come up with your questions. Let's make it as interactive as possible because we are going to do this. So, but we need you to join us in this discussion. So please. So thank you for that. Having said that, Kamal, if I may ask you, and but before I ask you to go on stage to kick off the presentation. After that, we have Brandon's presentation. I would like to thank you and Equinix for sponsoring this wonderful session, and we're going to make it a blast for the audience.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So please.
So I'll go to the lecturer.
The lecturer, you can be do your professor thingy again. Thank you.
Yeah, so you feel like you're a university professor on this, so. Yeah, so thank you, everyone. Thank you, Omantel and CC for this great invite and this great forum where the leading minds of the industries are, together discussing and, about the future of our industry. So my name is Kamel. I'm the managing director for Equinix in Middle East, North Africa. Before I start, funny story, I was last week in a conference in Dubai called Domain Days. Don't ask me why they put me in a conference called Domain Days, but that's a conference for people who are interested in domain registries, internet domain, and there were some like 400 or 500 people in this, all companies who do these domains stuff, which I'm not the expert, and, I asked the audience, did anyone hear about Equinix before? So out of the 500, maybe, how many Bahja raised their hand? Maybe 10 out of 500. So I felt, okay, I hope if I ask this question, more hands will be raised here. But I went to Google search and I said, these guys are in the internet business, in the domain business. We're in the same, so let me check something. Let me check. I went to Google and I typed, how much of global internet traffic flows through Equinix data centers? I thought it's a majority, but didn't know the exact. So anyone knows the percentage except Bahja, who was on my session? Any idea? 35? Not close. I'll give you a hint. It's above 95% and below 97%.
That's difficult.
So,
say again?
above 95, below 97.
Can you help me
So
out?
definitely you failed in math. Yes. So yes, 96% of global internet traffic flows in any point of time through one of the 250 plus Equinix data centers, and frankly, this is huge. So again, so I think this gives us a bit of credibility to talk to you about data centers and internet traffic. So let me know if I can use this one. Yes. So, for the people, I know the audience is very young, so most probably don't remember the 2000s, but for an old guy like me, I want to take you through a kind of a history of our industry. So beginning of 2000s, if you remember, it was the very much start of the consumer demands on on enterprise transformation and on global IT, you know. So the industry spent more like 10 years to move from that. You know, we were talking about web, social, software as a service. I don't know now, not many people talk about these terms now, but that seems like yesterday. And we moved from there on the 2010s. So it took us 10 years to move into what we call the cloud acceleration. So we started seeing cloud becoming mainstream. You know, I was working for one of the what's called hyperscalers in that time. And my main mission in life was to go to customers and partners and convince them that cloud and digital transformation is a good thing. You know, and people say, why should we go to cloud? I mean, we have our data, we have our servers. Why we should go to cloud? And for 10 years, we've been doing that. And we failed miserably. Miserable failure. Cloud adoption was very, very, very nascent, you know. And so overall, it was something like 30% cloud adoption globally in the in the decade of 2010. Then something happened. Mr. Corona visited us, you know, and the pandemic really changed everything. So in 2 years of pandemic, the digital transformation and the cloud adoption picked up more than the previous 20 years, to the extent today, any business, if it is not a digital business, is no longer a business. Imagine if you're a business and during the closure of COVID, where you did not have any digital infrastructure, you did not have a Zoom, you did not have an e-commerce, you did not have any form of digital services, you are no longer in business. So it took us a pandemic to make us understand the value of digital transformation. And this tells you the human mind, you know, that you can only change when you are forced to change. In our industry, we are forced to change every day. So and by the way, all of you kept the world running during COVID. Carriers, data centers, equipment providers. If it was not for the people in this room, the world would have kind of stopped, you know. So really, thank you for your contribution to this. But it took us 20 years to reach digital transformation. And, you know, during pandemic, if you see, there are the first time companies peaked the $1 trillion mark. It was during the pandemic. And out of the $4 trillion companies, 3 are in IT, only 1 is in hydrocarbon. You know, they're our neighbors, next country. All the others are into the IT business, you know, I think now. But 2023, in 6 months, we had a completely different phenomena. So artificial intelligence came, it was like the fuel that put the fire on digital transformation. So artificial intelligence is going to be the new pandemic in a good way, And you've seen that in 6 months, a company like NVIDIA moved to the $1 trillion mark, and we're seeing a lot of this happening. So basically what's happening in the industry is completely changing. And we as key player in the ecosystem, we need to be ready. We need to be ready in the capacity we provide. We need to be ready in the connectivity we provide, because what's coming is completely different than what we've seen before. The loads on enterprise networks, the loads on cables, the loads on data centers. People are expecting numbers that are frightening, but we cannot predict the future, but we can learn what the pandemic did and what a good pandemic would do, you know? So, this is my, so basically I wanted to take you through this to let you know as an introduction of who is Equinix, what we're doing, What's our platform? What are our investments in the region and mainly in Oman? Yeah. So, Equinix is the world digital infrastructure company, and we say this because we believe we are the digital infrastructure that fuel the internet. So 96% of internet traffic goes through Equinix, which means that 96% of your transactions every day goes through an Equinix data center. If you book an airline, if you go to a bank, if you withdraw money, if you deposit money, if you do a phone call. So, so our platform is really the platform that powers the world. But again, it's not only about us. Equinix is not a closed platform. We believe we are an interconnectivity platform. So it's not only about our data centers, it's about our global platform that allows enterprises to be in all the right places, wherever you need these places, and more importantly, it's no longer a single player. I mean, we've heard in the morning with all these great speakers that it's not about one company. It's about an ecosystem. It's about the partnerships we help create on our platform, So the ecosystem is really the game changer. And if you want to face the challenges that are coming up, you cannot do it alone. You need to partner, and you need to build ecosystems to ensure that you're on the right track and you unlock the whole possibilities, So again, I will not dwell into that, but we're like a global platform, very resilient, and, I'll go through this. I mentioned this before. So most of you are our customers. We have more than 2,000 plus networks in our data center. The network ecosystem is one of the most dense and most scalable ecosystem within our our data centers, And again, and this is where I wanted to head. So we have more than 250 plus data centers across the globe, all interconnected, through what we call our Fabric platform, which is a software-enabled infrastructure that allow you to connect any of these black dots. Each of these dots is a metro that has data centers in them, And we are currently now in 71 markets. But to give you a view on our expansion, in the past 3 years, out of the 7, we went into maybe 20 new markets. So we grew. Usually, we are a 25 years old company. So what we say is we grow every year. We go into 2-3 markets. In the past 3 years, we went into something like 18 markets. So went into India. We went into Africa. So we have now Nigeria, Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire. We went into Latin America, where we have now Colombia, Chile, Peru. We went into India. Now in Asia Pac, we went into Indonesia, Malaysia. And most importantly, in the past 2 years, we expanded our footprint to go into Oman. And we are very glad with the partnership with Omantel. So we've established our MC1 data center, which is the key interconnectivity hub for the region, and we'll speak about it. And if you see these two, if you see these two red dots, these are our latest data centers that are not live yet. So we have Joburg, so GN1 in Joburg, which is in South Africa, which is launching in mid-2024. And we have Salalah, which is also launching in almost mid-2024. And we'll be explaining to you why we decided to invest into Salalah. So before that, we're in Oman, so we thought maybe we'll give you a bit of a view on our MC1 data center. So MC1 is really becoming the heart of the digital ecosystem for the for the Asia, Africa, and Europe region. It's sitting in the middle, powered by all the subsea cables that Omantel are busy landing, and all in the interconnections are happening within MC1, providing ultra low latencies into these markets, and the same service level that are in MC1 are our global service levels. So our data centers in Silicon Valley or in New York or in Osborne and MC1s share the same SLA and the same practices. So we started the journey with our partners Omantel around a few years back. We launched MC1 during COVID, all virtual launch, and we have and currently we are hosting some of the leading cloud and networks into that facility. So we finished the first phase 1 is full, phase 2 is full, and now we're busy building phase 3. So a great success to becoming a leading interconnectivity hub for this region. Now moving to Salalah, and I wanted to spend few words why we wanted to go into Salalah. It's not just to get a nice vacation spot, because we know Salalah is a nice vacation spot, but we believe that Salalah is going to be a key interconnectivity hub, not just for the region, but maybe for the global connectivity. So we believe that the whole interconnectivity between the East and West can be managed through Salalah, and we understand, and you've heard from all the partners today, the amount of efforts they are putting into landing more and more capacity into Salalah. So we are pleased. Of course, the subsea cable connectivity is key. I think you are bored from this slide. I know it has been shown maybe 20 times today, but it's good repetition. So as you can see, the Salalah position is key for the global interconnectivity for the region. So we're launching SN1, SN1 standing for Salalah Neutral 1, which is basically a world-class career neutral data center. Of course, Sohail wanted to call it SQ1, Sohail Qadir 1, but then we said, okay, we just agreed for the first letter of the name, So this is really a key facility serving the region. Once the phase 1 is kind of like 1.2 megawatt. We're in the data center business, so we talk megawatts. So, and it's going to be covered by green energy. Actually, Salalah is going to have one of the lowest PUEs in the region. I don't know if PUE is power user effectiveness. This is the measure we use in the data center people who are techie people. So you can see a lot of jargons here. Most of them I don't know, but it's nice to put them. So, but PUE is the power user effectiveness. So this is the measure we use to measure the power effectiveness of a data center. And in the region here, because it's heat, so you cannot do a lot into kind of getting green energy or getting more alternative sources of energy. So the PUEs are usually between 1.8 to 2 sometimes. In Salalah, we are targeting a PUE of 1.8 to 2. So in Salalah, we are targeting a PUE of 1.2 to 1.3, which is the best optimized data centers in Europe, where it's called is 1.1. So you can see the amount of technology and innovations we are putting in these data centers to really make them very sustainable and very secure and scalable. But at the same time, as a company, we have pledged to be 100% carbon neutral by 2030. So we use a lot of ways to help cover our data centers with the green energy. So all our data centers in the Middle East are 100% covered by solar. Big difference, not powered by solar, but covered by solar, or either covered by solar or through carbon subsidies. So really we are trying to be very much, sustainability is a big agenda for us, for our customers, for our partners. So we're putting a lot of efforts in getting more and more sustainable energy, getting more and more a clean energy. And today we are like 96% at renewable energy, and by 2030 we are going to be 100% covered by renewable. So that was my very brief introduction. Thank you so much, and looking forward for the panel. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Carl. Thank you so much. Any questions for Carl? Maybe later? No, you were so clear. So thank you for that. Now, over to Brendan. Brendan, please, the floor is yours. Professor number 2 of this afternoon session.
Professor, but I'm actually perplexed by the device I've got on my hand. Usually with the Q device, it's backwards or forwards. I've got about 5 different buttons on here. It's like that old remote control when you get all these buttons you don't use. So I'm going to have to ask you,
just the green one. Just green.
Okay, let's start with a stat, because I like your stat on data centers. I come from the telecoms world. My friend here, Kamal, comes from the data center world, and these worlds are colliding. I'll talk more about that in a minute. But in terms of stats, you talked about the late 90s in terms of the data going through the data center. What about subsea cable? What percentage do you think of today's internet goes through subsea cable? Well, it's 97%, which is 1% more than you, so I think we'll take that one. Okay. I'm going to talk a little bit about the data center market in the region, and then talk about something very special to GBI in terms of what we're doing in terms of addressing this market. I said to you when I first started talking, data centers is a relatively new area for us. Clearly, with the integration of services, the importance of having that integration, seamless service, low latencies, it's a very natural development for telecom providers to see what they can do in terms of evolving this space, the transformation, digital transformation with partners such as Equinix and others. And I admire what Omantel have done with Equinix over the last few years, and it's been a reference point for the rest of the region very much in terms of how the industry can develop. First thing to say is I think I presented in previous forums something about the megawatts, and that's a term I'm starting to get used to using, megawatts. We usually talk about bytes and gigabytes and megabyte. This is megawatts, a term used in the data center world. And this is some old stats from maybe a year or so ago in terms of where the region was in terms of the different countries. And you can see very much the UAE with the data minas, etc., and KSA in terms of its size were leading the way in terms of the development of data centers. And some of the other markets, and we might have been called second tier, even Oman, Qatar, etc., where they were and what's happening. But in all these markets now, things have gone very, very dynamic. The GCC itself is still very immature compared to the rest of the world. If you look at the megawatts of business in this part of the world, it's a fraction. I think it's a 2 or 3% of all the OTT business currently has 1%. I'm being told that's very good audience input there. Is on GCC network. So we've got a tremendous opportunity to grow our businesses, and there's opportunities for all in this market, which we can all address. One major point I think here, and I think this is where Equinix have taken the lead in terms of being a global player. There's been an absence, I think, of other global players in this part of the world. There's been some great developments from real estate companies, for instance, in the UAE, Damac, for instance, who have gone into this business for obvious reasons. I mean, as a business, real estate is very, very important in terms of this business. But some of the global players we're only just starting to see to come into the region. And I think that will be a shot in the arm, definitely, for how this part of the world will evolve. Again, just in terms of some of the stats, last year was talking about 700, 900. Now, by the end of the period, we're talking about gigawatts, 3 gigawatts of data. 2 gigawatts of capacities that are going to be required for the region. And I think that's underestimated from what I see personally, from what can be grown in this part of the world. If you look at the drivers of that, clearly the brands on the right-hand side, very, very important in driving that growth. And the level of closeness we in GBI have with those brands is ever so developed in the last couple of years, and will continue to develop as we cater to the needs, not just for connectivity, but also for what hosted services they need to address in the region. In terms of the construction of data centers, some recent stats came out talking about sort of going from a 4.28 billion investment in Middle East and Africa by 2028 and CAGRs of 8.5%. So a tremendous growth in the region and the broader region of Africa as well. And certainly in terms of how we've looked to the market, in terms of developing our business, these are the 4 points that are very critical in terms of assessing how you get your data center developed. And clearly, as I mentioned in the previous slide, there's some very important OTTs, hyperscalers, that are clearly anchor customers to the OTT space, at least, in terms of how you develop it. And a lot of those requirements are very customized. So you have to make sure that you develop a data center that is fit for purpose. And that's why it's very important to have an experienced data center provider working with you. I think it was mentioned also in Kamal's discussion or presentation about the importance of AI. We're going from cloud to AI and the leap that will be in terms of the transformation industry. Most of the data centers we're talking about, certainly in this region, are about cloud and the adoption of cloud. As we move into AI, it'll be different types of data center and much wider scale, bigger scales of data centers. I was reading only a few weeks ago about Vertis and their 3 megawatt facility being built in just outside Berlin to support AI capabilities in Europe. Power and telecom provision, clearly very important. Telecom side, clearly business has to be neutral, has to provide redundancy, all the characteristics that we provide in terms of providing a connectivity service. But of course, in terms of the availability of power, power is an infinite resource, but very much in Qatar, we have access to a very large natural gas capability in terms of existing power. As we go forward, sustainability, whether it be solar, whether it be cooling waters, or whether cooling oil sometimes, there'll be new technologies that come in to allow us to get to a sustainable future in terms of the power side of things. The third area, local laws and regulations, and they can be very different around the region. And in our experience in the last few months, in terms of how we've been looking at land, etc., how we want to work with landlords, etc., a whole field of new area of development that we need to develop can be very different depending on the country that you're talking about. And finally, in terms of equipment and project lead time, and we're all talking about new data centers taking 2, maybe more years to put together. You need to make sure the components in place, including all the equipment and the manufacturing cycles, are there to be able to support what you need to do. I'd like to announce today, for the first time, a new joint venture that GBI has just launched with a company called Pure Data Centers. Pure are one of the leading data centers globally. And we've decided to work with them. They decided to work with us in terms of evolving the data center space in this part of the world. Yes, initially just in Qatar, how we develop a data center capability there, but clearly there might be opportunities to go further than that. And the reason we've chosen a global player to work with us is we believe they have the expertise and the experience and be able to encourage the adoption of more customers in terms of the data center space in this part of the world. And so we're very excited to launch that joint venture in the coming weeks, though I'm announcing it today more fully as to how we're going to work with them in terms of evolving the space. Pure is a global data center provider around the world supporting hyperscalers. They have over 2,100 megawatts of IT capacity under development at the moment, so absolutely invested in many parts of the world, and obviously a big capital investor in terms of Oaktree Capital there supporting what they're doing. And I don't need to say too much about GBI. I think you know us as a connected provider and what we provide in the region. So together, we think we provide the solution that a lot of customers are looking for. In terms of available by 2027, we're looking to develop 100 megawatts worth of capability. So that's our significant in terms of where we are today. Initially, it might be 5-6 megawatts, but we've got ambitions to go a lot further. And again, looking at the country and where we get the support from, clearly the power organization critically important. So we're aligned very much with the power organization, Karama, in terms of Qatar, also a municipality and government in terms of making sure we facilitate the delivery of what's required in Qatar. Doesn't mean we're the only ones. Clearly, there's Ooredoo and there's Vodafone, Misa, others that are there, but we provide competition and we just build the market. So there's choice in the market as there is in every other market in the region. Qatar as a state is investing significantly in this and committed to providing a home for major technology companies as the rest of the region is. And the great thing about this region is everybody's now looking to do this and giving customers choice. And customers will invest in Qatar, they'll invest in Oman, other places in the region to ensure that this region has the best and the leading digital economies in the world, I believe. I won't say too much more, but you can see in terms of the Qatar, in terms of what it can support in terms of this development. Again, we believe we're in a very strategic location. We believe we've got low and plentiful power supplies that gives us an advantage in Qatar. Attractive connectivity conditions. We're very much in the heart of the Gulf when we go north, east, south, west, developing own new routes like Iraq to develop and support what businesses need in terms of access other data centers, maybe in this case, Europe, at the lowest latency possible. The last point I'm going to make, which was referenced earlier on by Kamal, is just in terms of renewables. And clearly we don't miss the point on this. This world and this part of the world has been based very much on fossil fuel in terms of the energies. We have to turn our attention, and we will turn our attention to new potential in terms of the solar, for instance. And indeed in Qatar, new fields of solar technology are being developed all the time, and we need to tap into that as we develop this business going forward. That was it from me today, just to give you a bit of introduction as to the data center development in the region and also what we're doing. So thanks for listening to me, and let's get the panel.
Thank you so much. Any immediate questions which are burning in your mind, which you want to, for the guys, for Brendan and for Kamal? Again, you were so clear. You were so clear. Okay, so let's get everybody joined. And sorry, what's the question? No. Come on, guys. I need a question, you know? Anyways, I have to come up with everything. That's not the way. Anyway, let's move in there and see if we can get Mustafa back online. Sorry, you see? There is a question. Fantastic.
Hi, Andrew Dolgan. I'm from Nokia. I had the web scale business development and technology. So this region is very interesting because opposing to other regions that have more concentration, easier regulations like North America, Europe, across a lot of countries, we're gonna see, it's my guess, more of the localized colo-like data centers that Equinix is building data centers. You guys gonna be building data centers. You guys gonna be building, which will attract hyperscalers like Google's, Microsoft, the Oracle's, the top 10, let's say, because they will not build their data centers here. There's no scale right now that they can make it happen. So how are you thinking of attracting that in your infrastructures, those hyperscalers, and leveraging them to bring more of the cloudification and into an enterprise, because enterprise has not moved really. They have a little bit of a cloud, but we're still spending half of the data center money in on-prem data centers, which is a lot that can go to public. So how are you guys thinking of how we're gonna move it in the hyperscalers onto those co-locations in the region, and then how we're gonna leverage those to grow the business and do an adoption that will probably be a little bit more interesting here than everywhere else in the world, because the co-locations create a very interesting, a very different, and potentially, skipping a generation type of a market for opportunity for me that can be like leading in that evolution.
Who wants to
Long question.
Yeah, a lot of points, interesting points there. I'd just say in terms of the hyperscalers, they are all very active in this region now. See this as a development, and I think back to my point in terms of the global data center providers that support certainly the Microsofts, the Googles, etc. They've been a bit slow in recognizing this potential when we've been pushing that agenda certainly in the last 18 months, and now have this partnership which I've disclosed today. So yeah, I think governments clearly, in terms of their investments in a lot of the cloud-based services, have fueled this, and indeed government entities, whether it be Qatar Airways or whatever, who are pushing for the adoption of cloud, and therefore they're coming in. And it's not just those, by the way. There's Googles and others, Oracles and others that are involved in that. So we've just got to make sure we provide the facility that allows them to do what they do to the criteria they've had given to them in other parts of the world. And that's where I think what we've done and announced today gives hyperscalers the confidence to invest. There's no doubt this part of the world is hungry for all the services you've talked about, and I think is leading in many senses other parts of the world in terms of the adoption. And let's not forget, we're way behind likes of Europe and other parts of the world in terms of the capacities that are available to date. And And the last point I'd like to make in terms of what GBI sees the potential, where we're located in the Gulf allows us also to serve not just Qatar, but other markets, without naming now, that would be benefiting from this. And just one last thing. I mean, we've all used WhatsApp. I mean, just seeing the quality of photography on WhatsApp that people have seen change as a result of having edge computing and computing power in the region. That changed a few months ago overnight. And so again, there's real tangible examples. And as AI and as metaverse, these services develop, there'll be a great need to have local computing, that power in place, whether it be on AWS, Microsoft, whatever, supported locally. So I hope that answers some of your questions.
Huda?
Thank you. This was a really good question. From Amantel experience, what I believe everybody knows that the hunger of traffic is already led by the hyperscalers. So from Zoe and Amantel perspective, what we did is we focused on three things. First of all, to have a very a partnership with a well-known data center provider, where they are looking for carrier neutrality. The second thing is we were focusing on providing resiliency from network perspective. So we made sure that we brought them to Oman, bringing almost more than 16 submarine cables, which is already landed in Oman. And by 2024, it will be around 20 submarine cable. So this is allowing them the flexibility to go east and west using whatever submarine cable. The third point is now most of the hyperscalers are participating in building the submarine cables because of the huge amount of capacity required by them. So Amantel, we changed our approach how to invest in submarine cables. The latest submarine cables, which is Blue Raman, we already participated with one of the hyperscalers, who is Google, in order to provide them with as much capacity within the region, because we truly believe that this region will be it's already been in the radar of all hyperscalers. This allowed us to provide or to localize the traffic in Oman. Almost we reach 90% of localized traffic. This is bringing a better customer experience for our client. As well as from Oman, we will be replicating the same success to all over the GCC. I hope this answers your question.
I can add something in addition to that to complete the ecosystem, because what we just described is building up an ecosystem, is having a neutral, independent internet exchanging, getting that in the content from these hyperscalers distributed through the country, but also through the region by connecting the ISPs. So that's also the part of PAM6 and Oman IX in MC1.
There's another question. Now we're moving. This is what I love. Sorry, what? No, these questions are them away. This is what we want. The interaction with and from the audience. Exactly. Microphone is coming.
Johan Jovi, Analysis Mason. So thank you very much, Brandon, for this very exciting announcement. I think so. You just announced you're building data center and with plans to expand to 100 megawatts. But one slide before that, you mentioned that as part of the challenges for deploying data centers in the region, it was the anchor tenant question. So have you sorted out this anchor tenant question, or are you still out there to try and find someone to co-locate as an anchor tenant in your data center?
Thank you, Johan.
Did I forget to announce we just signed up a 100 megawatt deal with one of the hyperscalers? No, I mean, that's a stated ambition. Clearly, in talking with all these players, They tell us what their expectations are, ambitions are, and we look at what they're doing in other parts of the world. So that is a stated ambition. I believe we can achieve it, particularly with the onset of AI and machine learning. I mean, the computing power that is needed to support that, if you believe it's going to happen. I think most people do in some format, as long as it doesn't replace humans or does things to humans that we don't like. But that in itself will catapult or multiply the requirements in terms of megawatts. So yes, we're starting small. We've got ambitions to be big, but this market is far higher than 100 megawatts. It's multiples of 100 megawatts, and there'll be lots of players that I think will enjoy the benefits of being part of this development.
Okay, thank you. Does it answer your question? Are you sure you're happy with that answer?
Yes, it does. Thanks, Brendan.
Thank you. Any other questions? Well, here we go.
I'll just follow up. So, I've been in this industry a while. So I work with Google Fiber. I work with DKIX. We have all of you guys here really critical to delivering the step. And from my experience in the past, if I look at what happened with Google, what happened with DKIX, what happened with similar companies to, Apple that we're doing data centers with, as Nokia, like everybody tosses the number, like you say 100, which crowd thinks, oh, that's ambitious. And those numbers very quickly go very, north, because the numbers actually are much, much bigger, much faster. And how far away you think in this region we are from this inflection point that it will really explode from the growth perspective? Because right now, it's not that, like, the growth is substantial, don't get us wrong, but we're still at 1.5% of the megawatt compared to other countries. And the demand is here, maybe not across every single country, but like if we're talking Oman, if we're talking Saudi, if we're talking Qatar, if we're talking UAE, if we're talking, South Africa, demand, a lot of Morocco, all those countries, the demand is there. And like, you will enable this. There's no question about it. You as providers through your data centers, through exchange, you will enable it. Are you worried that you potentially too pessimistic about your growth targets and you actually may grow much faster? So it's a good worry to have, but are you worried about that?
I think from all our perspective, definitely the region is very much underserved in terms of capacity. So this is something that everybody is agreeing on. Now, how far the region can go, this depends on many elements. One is what is the future of AI and how it's going to be implemented in the region, because that's a big power hungry application. Also, how are the cloud providers going, the hyperscalers? They fuel mainly the wholesale data center business. So what are the strategies of these guys, and how successful are government? Because let's admit it, the hyperscalers will come because they come on the back of government agreements. So like what happened in Qatar, like what happened in Bahrain, like what happened in many other countries. So how successful are the government and the regulators to enable to attract them? And the hyperscalers are not charities. They're not charities. I think Suhail mentioned in the morning that they have a group of negotiators. So you go to something like 10, 15 negotiators. So they have the negotiators department. So they are very smart. They know where to go. And when they go to a country, they need to get the return. So it's really the government, how they can attract them and how they can help them come and bring them to business that will fuel the demand. So there are many factors that are affecting the growth of the data center industry. But one thing we are forgetting is most of the discussions today is around the hyperscale, exascale data centers, and if you see many of these projects that are happening are in that range. We believe that the biggest impact on the digital economy is what we call the digital hubs. These are carrier neutral, interconnection, dense data center that will help service providers like many of the audience, enterprises, to come and interconnect to really create a variety of ecosystems. You know, things like today, the content ecosystem, financials ecosystem, gaming ecosystem. You know, most of these ecosystems live within these digital hubs. And these digital hubs are the cornerstone of the digital economy, you know. So the cloud providers are going to move. They are going to consume a lot of power, a lot of data centers. The impact on the digital economy, on top of that, is really these interconnectivity dense data centers, which we believe are going to grow, and we're working with our partners across the region to grow that footprint.
Okay. Any other questions? Please, Brendan.
Just in terms of, again, one of the reasons why we're integrating our business to become a data center provider as well, albeit with a joint venture, is that I think one of the hindrances to the region, I've mentioned before in previous panels, is the cost of connectivity. I mean, on one hand, we've got very low adoption of data center business comparative to other parts of the region. On the other hand, we're the highest cost connectivity providers globally. So, you know, that's got to be something that's offset as well. So that a lot of the time, the hyperscalers, OTTs will think twice about investing in new services and offering some of the applications that are available in other parts of the world because the connectivity prices are too high. So we've got a part to play in that, in supporting what is a reasonable cost in terms of being able to access the services. At the same time, we can take some benefit from offering the service in terms of the hosting as well. So that's why we're getting to space, because again, the costs of some of the connectivity cannot continue to be what they are in terms of prohibiting adoption as they have done to date. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. All right. Were you happy with the answer? No? We come to Mustafa now. Trust me, we'll come to him. So thank you for your questions so far. And if you have more, then keep them coming. Keep them coming. Keep them thinking with us. You know, it's the partnering model. You think together, you know, it will help. All right. Okay. We're talking about demand. And we talked already a lot about, you know, also a bit on the technique and then the cost and on, you know, what is all needed, and we'll come on to the IX part and connectivity part as well. But Mustafa, I mean, everything goes super fast, and when sometimes we talk about it, or we have the feeling maybe that everything is going faster and faster. How do you think, from your point of view, do we have an answer for that demand?
Before that, I have a question to Khalid. I saw they have a limited presence in Africa. I know the challenge, what they are facing, but I want to hear from him, and I want to know the plan of Africa.
Who are you asking this question? To Kamal?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the question is, what's our plans for Africa?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, we are committed into investing into the African market, and you know, we speak with our money basically. So we have already invested in the West African market with the acquisition of Main One, which is a leading data center and connectivity provider. So we are already now into three markets. So that's Nigeria, Cote d'Ivoire, and Ghana. We have also recently announced our expansion into South Africa with the establishment of our carrier neutral data center in Johannesburg called GN1. So we're always looking at opportunities to cover the market. And actually, we go where our customers wants us to go, you know. So every market, I mean, all the markets are good markets, you know. I mean, if you tell me, should we be in every market in the world? But can we be in every market in the world? No. So we are always looking at opportunities and at potentials into the key markets in Africa, you know. So now we are focused on to our South African launch and also expanding our footprint in Nigeria. We are building something like 5 new data centers in Nigeria. So that's big. And yeah, looking at opportunities. And we believe also that our investments in Oman is also to serve connectivity for Africa. So, you know, we believe that MC1 and SN1 can be a major transition points into the African markets. Definitely, it's a big market and very, very interesting markets. Yeah. Did I answer your question?
Can I add also something about, as AMSIX, we have internet exchanges in Egypt, which started 2 years ago and it's now for 1 year live. So there's a neutral IX, Egypt IX. And last year we started our internet exchange in Main One in Lagos. And we are now trying to building an ecosystem in Lagos within all around the neighboring countries in West Africa. And this year we signed a contract with Vingo, and that's an existing internet exchange in Djibouti, which will be taken over by AMSIX. It's actually Djibouti IX. And AMSIX will be, it will be an AMSIX location and will be live somewhere in Q1 2024. So, and there also we try to build the ecosystem with the local partners.
So Mustafa, there is movement in Africa and it's coming and it's going, and maybe not yet in Sudan, but we'll get there. Because, and coming actually back to my question, I mean, as everything goes fast, and how, what is your take on it? How can you support, let's say, your customers on the demand that they have?
Yes, as you know that the scale of growth in Africa of data sets in Africa is growing dramatically, and as the population of Africa now roughly is around 1.4 billion, and it's going to be increasing to 2.5 billion in 2050. The traffic in Africa doubling every 18 months, and as far as the mobile broadband penetration, that the operators are moving from 3G to 4G, even now 5G in some countries is being there, and so the need for the data is increasing day by day. For the future, because as you know, Africa is a big continent that there is a big plan for some companies in Africa that to make the combination between the subsea cables and the terrestrial cables. The data center plays the main role for this combination. So I think we can see in the near future that there is many combinations between the subsea and terrestrial cables, especially for the landlocked countries. In Sudan, we have Sudan surrounded by around 4 landlocked countries, and we have connectivity with 3 of them. And now we are going to build our literal data center in Sudan that will facilitate this connectivity. Also, the combination between terrestrial and subsea cable. There is an example that we are planning to build a terrestrial cable from Red Sea to Atlantic Ocean, coming through Sudan, Chad, and Cameroon. That connect the two oceans, and it can be the lower latency cable from east to west.
Okay, thank you so much. And I have to apologize for the audience about the connection, but we're doing whatever is in our power to make it as good as possible. But we got your statement, absolutely. And well, we of course we wish you all the best of luck, especially in Sudan, to make it happen and to get it all together as fast as possible. Because as you mentioned, Africa is a huge market, and we all should contribute to that continent as well. So absolutely, thank you. Now, we were mentioning actually the building blocks of everything. I mean, we have connectivity, we have the cablings, we have the data centers, but we also have, as Noah already rightly said, we have the IXs as well, and to make sure that to make sure that everything is there, everything is connected together with the ISPs, and to make everything work. So as an important building block, I would say. So Ahmed, if I may come to you first, and then Noah, you bump in. How comparing at the local internet exchange can lead to the improvement of the customer experience? Because that is something that we all want, right? I mean, we are our own customers. So
peering on an internet exchange is a game changer, right? Especially when you're talking about the customer experience. And that is exactly why everyone is pushing to do it, right? So I'll get to how in just a second, but why is everyone pushing to do it? And why is everyone cooperating, right? Because everyone here has been part of making this journey possible, right? It's not just Awasser and AMSIX going and launching Oman Internet Exchange. No, it's support from Omantel, Zoe, all the way up and down the chain. Their support, their assistance throughout the way, Equinix, all of these people are hidden partners in this journey because everyone sees the value in it, right? It helps feed the ecosystem, and it just gives you a better customer experience. Now, how does that actually happen, and what does it improve? Improves latency, improves redundancy. You have resilient routes, you have cost effectiveness, you have closer content to the eyeballs and to our end users. And this is why I believe everyone keeps saying today, partnership, right? Sohail said it in his opening note. Kamil mentioned it. Brandon, you mentioned it as well. It's all about partnerships, right? And a lot of these partnerships aren't inked and signed. It's collaboration between everyone in this room and everyone in the other room, and everyone sitting together.
Okay, Noah?
I believe indeed we just said here that this region has a huge potential, and there's a lot of things to do. And personally, as a region director on behalf of AMSIX, and as one of the region, I firmly believe that we can add value with our experience, and we have in Amsterdam we have a 30 years of experience in driving a core of the internet, and one of the core in the internet in Amsterdam, global. I believe in this region, and I'm so proud that I'm not alone. I have a lot of sponsors and a lot of influencers and a lot of people here, and some of them are sitting here in the audience, but also in other. I was at MENOG, I was at Capacity Europe, and all the other events. I get so many support from people say, "Are you coming to the Middle East?" are you coming to Oman? Are you going to Djibouti? Are you in Egypt? We are so happy to have you there. And I am so pleased to have all those people supporting us. And I was like, okay, I have to make sure that we do everything to meet the need of those people, not only the ecosystem, but I need also to serve the supporters of ARM6. So yes.
Yeah, but don't forget, we all love your passion.
Oh.
Don't forget this. You know,
And I love the region, really.
there you go. There you go. Well, so no, if I may stay with you and also with Huda, with Ahmed, what are actually the key drivers for the IXPs here? I mean, and the whole region. What can you tell us there?
Now, like Ahmed said, of course, it's customer experience is most important, but why are the region asking for ARM6? Maybe because we are neutral, and that is what they, I think that is what they need, a neutral internet exchange. I think that is, it was the experience. Yeah, I can't make. It's the brand. It's what we have done 30 years in Amsterdam, and I think that is something that fits here.
I'm Dutch too, and I fit in here as well. I think that's what I think, but that's for you too. No, but absolutely right. Huda, where do you see the key drivers? I mean, for the market, for Oman, and for the market.
Again, I totally agree with Ahmed. It's a partnership. From a telecom company perspective, we cannot do it alone. Like as Zoe or as Amantel, we cannot do it alone without Etisalat, without all the carrier within the region. Bringing all the capacity through submarine, but if we are not able to expand within the region, or we don't have the similar vision for the region, then nothing of all of this will happen. We need to collaborate. We need to partnership. I believe everybody agrees with me that there is a shift in the mindset of everyone. Now, everybody is coming and talking about partnership. We are not longer competing with each other. We are complementing each other and completing each other. I can refer to one of, for me, I consider one of the successful partnership within the region, which is what we did with DO, where we currently having a seamless connectivity between MC1 and DX1. We are implementing a submarine cable called Oman Emirates Gateway, where anyone in MC1 can connect to anyone in DX1 in very seamless way. If this story, which I believe this is a very successful story, being replicated in Bahrain, in KSA, and all over the region, then this region will be one of the best.
Will just be a better place, right? Even better. It is already really beautiful. So now, Huda, if I can stay with you, because I mean, we heard and even this morning from Sahil in his visionary statement and presentation, 2020 opening of the MC1, right? I mean, Salalah is opening. So can you explain me the absolutely the importance of Oman being, let's say, one of the global hubs in the region? Maybe you can elaborate a little bit on this one as well, but first for you, Huda.
Okay, Alhamdulillah, we've been successfully doing this. We are becoming the hub, but again, it's not because only of us. If we come to the traffic used by all the ISPs, like or all the carrier or telecom companies in Oman, Tel, Awasr, Ooredoo, and the rest, we will not exceed more than 200 gig during the uptime. But what we are doing now, especially with Zoe, in Oman, we didn't had enough eyeballs. Now with Zoe, we are almost serving more than 5 million or maybe more. So bringing all those eyeballs here in the region, as well as serving the traffic to all our neighbors, like most of the traffic of Pakistan, Iran are going from Oman. So being the hub is not only helping the region, it's also helping all the neighbors country, as well as from, I want to confirm what Kamel said, SN1 will be the main provider for Africa to serve content to Africa. So I believe everybody in this room is playing a very important role in this ecosystem. Yeah.
And 16, as for now, 16 submarine cables coming
16.
in, and 20, so 4 more to come, right?
Yes, 20.
So also the geographical position, let's be fair, let's be
Yeah.
honest, is also amazing, you know, for
it's helping us a lot.
yeah, not only for the region, but for the whole world.
Plus the government support as well.
And you need that blessing.
Yeah.
Just let me
Camille?
add that the history of Oman and the submarine industry is not new. I mean, one of the first cables in the world was originated and passed through this part of the world. And, you know, thanks to all the people here, they worked on that legacy and they took it to the next step and to the next level. Today, we have more submarine cables landing into Oman, maybe 3 times the number of submarine cables landing into bigger countries in the region, you know, and this is because of the efforts and the vision of the government and, of course, Omantel and its partners and its ecosystem to make this region attractive, you know, and this is going to continue. I think the more efforts, the more ecosystems you're building, it will create a domino, it will create an avalanche effect, right? This is right, the avalanche effect. So the ball will go and bigger and bigger and bigger because it's an ecosystem play. If you build the ecosystem, it becomes magnetic, it becomes sticky. Is this the right word to use? Sticky.
By the end of the day, it's sticky.
And
yes.
then it becomes bigger and bigger, and you know, and you become the de facto hub for the region. Now, saying that, people misinterpret this, what we say, the digital ecosystem within the region. I don't think that Oman and Dubai would be competing. They are complementing. You know, now we're seeing new digital hubs emerging in other countries, in very big countries like the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. So we should not be seeing these as a threat to Oman or to Dubai. Each digital hub need to find its unique value proposition, and they need to cooperate to make sure that they are serving the growing number of eyeballs in the region. You know, again, still with all these good things happening, but I believe there's still a lot of rooms for progress. You know, if you look at the latest stats, currently the content, something like 90% of the content originated from the region. It varies from country to country, you know, but 90% of the content originating from the Middle East region does not stay in the Middle East. It goes through the major hubs in Europe, like Amsterdam, London, Paris, Frankfurt, and creating this, what we call this tromboning effect, you know, where the data is moving. So it's our mission all as ecosystem players, data centers, service providers, telcos, IXs, to make sure that we are localizing this content and making sure that the content moving out of the region stay in the region, because these are the basic foundational infrastructure to create the digital ecosystem for the region.
And I think that the regulator can play a role in this one as well.
Major role.
There you go.
Major role.
No, because Mustafa, let's go to you. I mean, what Camille just mentioned is exactly happening in already since the beginning in Africa as well. The majority of the traffic goes over the, you know, the over the ACE and over whatever submarine cables. They go up, while they should actually as much as, not everything is possible, but a lot, hopefully, but with the help of everybody in this ecosystem, contributing with each other's building block, should stay in Africa as well. But you do agree with me that the majority of the traffic now goes out of the continent, goes out of Africa, correct? Yep. Can you agree, Mustafa?
Yes, I agree with him that I know that what Kamil facing in Africa was because of the monopoly, and which this will be changed in the future, as Huda said, the partnership will be there with everybody to make this cross happen.
Okay, thank you. I mean, partnership and partnering and being together has already a couple of times come up. Before we go there, Noah, you wanted to?
No, I want to add something about what Camilo just said about the hub and competition. What we also need to serve to the hyperscalers is redundancy. So if a hyperscaler wants to connect to Manama IX, which is also powered by AM6 and hit a peak traffic of 500 gig with 27 networks, if somebody is connecting to Manama IX, they can connect to UAE IX as well. It's not a competition because they need redundancy. And if you want to build an ecosystem, you should connect they should connect for redundancy to any other exchanges that is for the hyperscaler to create the right redundancy. So also with IXs, it's not a competition. So he wants to say something.
Question. Sorry, we don't have time. No, quick.
A very brief question. My question is to Ahmed and to Noha. We're talking about traffic going out of the region. I think this will continue by putting Manama IX, by putting Oman IX, by putting Equinix IX, DKX, UAE IX. We are basically localizing the traffic of the country. But what about the region? M6 Manama IX and M6 Oman IX, are you guys connecting to each other so that at least the traffic of Manama and Oman and let's say UAEX are interlinked to each other and it remains in the region? Or otherwise, whatever we are doing, that traffic will still go out of Manama to Europe, Oman to Europe, and then UAE to Europe, and then we will communicate with each other in Europe.
Obviously an amazing question, putting us on the spot. But yes, 100% Sohail, and you know this very, very well. It doesn't make sense for us not to tie all the IXs together, right? However, we take things one step at a time, right? First, we try to serve Omani traffic. We try to serve the local Oman market. We keep Oman's traffic local. Instead of me sending my traffic through the IPT internationally to come back to Omantel or Ooredoo or anyone else, no, we start exchanging our traffic locally. We make sure we have our data sovereignty in check. We make sure all our regulations, everything as per the TRA requirements is there. Once we get that step taken care of, and that conversation has already started, Sohail. So 100%, if we can tie what Manama has with what we have, and then what Djibouti will have and everything else, because we all said it, not one person can serve the entire market, no matter how big you are. You just can't keep up with the demand. So we all have to try and pitch in and then begin creating and growing the ecosystem. So here we're growing the ecosystem in Oman as priority number one. Priority number two becomes the regional ecosystem. Okay, how do we do that? Where do we start? And that's a conversation that I will leave to Noha.
What I can add on that, we are here to facilitate the region. If there is a need for the region to do so, then the region wants this. This is good for the region. We are just here to facilitate. Today, if I look to Europe, what's happening now is there is such a thing as cross IX. Now you're going to see that the internet exchanges 30 years later in Europe are starting to connect with each other, because now in Europe is the need, and now it's the time for it. When it is the time for it here in the Middle East, I don't know. That's to the people and to the region in the Middle East to decide this.
I think I want to add few. Yeah, I want to add a few words here. I think your question, Sohail, is very key. Is there anyone from Etisalat or Do here? Okay. Hi. So we cannot talk bad about you. Yeah, but you know what we've seen. Well, for example, you know what happened in UAE, where the TDRA has forced the operator to connect the IXs. So now, for the first time, we have interconnection between Equinix Datamina and Smart Hub, and between UAE IX, DICX, and the Etisalat IX. And this really driving a lot of traffic into UAE, and we've started seeing the effect, you know, because you have two major hubs working and interconnecting together, and it's starting creating a very good momentum in the market. So this interoperability question is a key question that I would say that the GCC as a whole need to look at it from a holistic point of view, from a regulator point of view, and frankly, it should not be an option. It should be like what UAE has done. I think it's a very innovative, making sure that operators are interoperating and working together. You know, we should do it pan-Gulf, at least pan-Gulf, if not pan-Middle East, because that tromboning effect is hurting everybody. You know, why content in Oman should go and transit from Europe? You know, I mean, better to transit from within the region, and the region is big enough and it has big potential to enable us to localize this content, and the investments that are happening can help with this. You know, so it's a partnership between regulators. Regulators are very important. Operators, data centers providers, and all the key players like the IX players and all of that. Yeah.
Okay. Brendan?
Just to comment on the market from a catch-up perspective, I think as much as there's not competition, the market is changing, and the hyperscalers are looking to have diversity across markets in the region. And where perhaps in the past the MC1's data minas have had complete control of the availability of content across the region, that is changing now. So clearly the demands are going to go up, the capacity requirements are going to go up, the potential is going to go up, the need for more data centers. But there'll be more regional hubs. There won't be one or two hubs. There'll be hubs for the region that will be complementary, as you say. But also, let's be honest, there'll be competition between these hubs in terms of which other markets they can support. Now, I'm not going to beat around the bush there. And I think in Qatar, we have the lowest energy costs. We have land availability. We're new into the game very much compared to some other providers, but we've got connectivity, fantastic number of cables landing in Qatar. Geographically, we're in the very heart of the GCC, not on the edge of the GCC where all the cable landing from Asia and Europe are, but we've got a different position to play. But I think there's more than enough opportunities for everybody in this market, but the dynamics are changing, and there will be a movement across the region with Saudi doing what they're doing. I mean, a tremendous amount of growth and investment in data centers in that part of the world. So the game is changing, and people have to adapt and adopt new positions to be able to succeed or get to the growth ambitions that are being talked about. But I'm excited by this, very excited.
Okay. Is your question answered, Sohail? Triple thing, right? So fantastic. Okay, guys, looking at the time, we're getting a little bit to the closure of this a bit longer session, but I think very interesting session where we actually countered and we discussed, let's say, all parts of the spectrum. Maybe not enough, maybe not in deep enough, but you know what? Even today, even tomorrow, you still have the chance to talk to all these experts, you know, and even to Mustafa. Just call him; he will pick up the phone and he will answer all your questions you need. So, but we have to come to a closing of this session. But you can reach them tomorrow, anytime, even tonight. So. What I would like to do is actually have a closing statement from all the panelists here, and who better to start with than with Huda? So, if I may give you the honors.
Thank you so much. First of all, thank you for having us here. The telecom is towards data, so we need to be ready. From data center perspective, we can see that hyperscalers, they start building their own ecosystem, their own data centers. So how are we going to penetrate on this? What we need to do as whether wholesaler or data center providers. We already seen that they are being like playing very big role in partnering in cable system, building cable system. Now they are moving to data center. So we need to align. We need to be strong all together in order to find a place for us in this market. Thank you.
Yeah.
What should we look out for? What will be the I mean, from your discipline, of course, the most important things that we should, look for? Well, what can we expect? What are your thoughts?
There are so many things to say, but if I summarize it, let's connect together, literally, and let's connect together. And I mean, cross borders connect. Let's make it easy for content providers to come here. Let's make it easy to cross from one country to the other country. So let's connect together. And I'm very happy and proud to be, I know the IX is the smallest part of all the connectivities and sea cables, and we are not the moneymaker for you, I know, but we are very little, but I'm still happy to be part of your digitalization and transformation and to get the traffic local here for you.
Even small, but a very important enabler. And that's what I wanted to state.
Thank you.
So
it was a pleasure being here.
Mustafa, over to you, my friend. What is your view on the near future? What should we look out for? Tell us.
Yes, I hope that all the companies that make the competition aside and to establish win-win partnership will solve all the problems of revenues of everything. Let us keep the competition aside and look for win-win partnership.
Okay, thank you. Because by the end of the day, together everybody achieves more. That's the name. But what's team, right? Right. So good thought. Thank you, Mustafa. Now, Ahmed, your closing statement.
Okay, let's see. What do we look forward to? A lot more partnerships, a lot more collaboration, and it's going to be in the most unexpected ways possible. That's what
I love that. Even disruptive ways, right?
Very disruptive.
If needed.
Wasser has always been a market disruptor, and we always will be, in the best way possible.
Good having you. Brendan, if I may go over to you. Sorry, microphone's coming.
Yeah, if you're looking for the winners in this space, I think it always is. I've worked in consumer markets as well as business markets. It's about meeting the demands of the customer in the best way possible. Now, the customer at the end of the day are those providing the services, and many of the conversations we've had, it's been about these old OTT hyperscalers and making sure that they're satisfied. They're building their own capabilities, and the threat that was there or thought about and talked about that they might take over the industry, take over their own cables and just not need the telecom providers. I think it's a recognition that we do have a role to play, but we have to be damn good at it. We have to understand the regulation of the markets. We have to understand land leasing. If we're going to be in the data center business, we have to understand where that's going. We have to understand a lot more than they do, so they have the trust in us as providers in our local markets to do what they don't want to go into because it's too much trouble and they see they're adding a lot of value. So for me, I think as much as we see them as a threat and have seen them as telecom providers as a threat very much in the last 10 years, maybe longer, these are the customers that we do need to demonstrate that we can deliver the best in services, whether it be pricing, regulatory, whatever, data centers, to allow them to develop the services that our customers, our end user customers, our peoples, our economies in this world, in this part of the world deserve.
Famous last words for you, Kamel.
First, thank you all. I think, you know, we were the last session between after lunch and before the beach. So you are either very, very committed to the subject or you're too tired to get out. So
both are good, I guess, right? It's a win-win.
So thank you so much. You know, we're in very exciting times. We're in the right time, in the right industry, in the right region. It's a journey. It's a great journey, and we can reach the destination together much, much faster. So let's focus on working together to build the ecosystem and to really serve the digital economy in this region. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So let's not talk before you clap. Let's not talk about partnerships. Let's live partnerships. Do we agree? How big or how small you are, because that's the only way. I would like to thank Equinix for sponsoring this session. I would like to thank, of course, Mustafa, Brandon, Kamel, Huda, Noah, and Ahmed. A big, big team. Thank you.